Question number 5 deals with trigonometry, 2D shapes. So the first we have a triangle. It's a good idea to draw the triangle to see how it goes along. So question number A is going to be, so the triangle is this ABC. The length AB is 8 centimeter. The length BC is 5 centimeter. We don't know what this length is. And the angle BAC is 30 degree. So now in order to find the angle, we can either have the cosine rule or the sine rule. The cosine rule, we need all the sides for finding any angle. So we don't have all the sides. We have to, for finding the angle ACB for this angle, we have to use the sine rule. And the sine rule states that whatever the angle, suppose you have a triangle and if you need some sort of an angle, so it would be sine theta divided by opposite side, let it be A, equals to sine alpha divided by opposite side, suppose B. So it would be angle, sine of that angle divided by side, sine of that angle divided by side. So you write using sine rule. So sine of this angle, which is sine 30 degree divided by the opposite side, which is 5, equal to sine, let me call this angle ACB. What is the name of the angle? Divided by 8. So now all we have to do is use the calculator. So to cross multiply, it would be 8 sine 30 divided by 5 equals to sine angle ACB. Therefore, angle ACB would be sine inverse of 8 sine 30 divided by 5. So that means all we have to do now is use the calculator. So let's use the calculator. So we have 8 times sine 30, which is 4, divided by 5, which is 0.8. Now we have shift sine, which is sine inverse of 0.8, and that would be 53.1 to 1 decimal places. So 53.1 degree. But the question is, find the two possible values of angle ACB. Remember, whenever you have an angle, there is always two possible values. One is the acute angle, less than 90 degree. The other is the obtuse angle. So, and since they're on a straight angle, you can just find the other angle. So also angle ACB equals to 180 minus 53.1, and that turns out to be, so 180 minus 53.1, and that is 126.9. So 126.9. Now question number B, they're saying you have to find the shorter of the two possible lengths. Remember that if you want to find the length AC, so it has to be proportional to this angle over here. Now if this angle is 126.9, then using the angles of a triangle, if you subtract from 180 degree, 180 minus 30 minus 126.9. So this angle turns out to be 23.1. So this angle would be 23.1. But if you take this angle to be 53 instead of 126.9, you take this angle to be 53.1, then if you subtract from 180 degree, this angle would be much larger. So they said find the shorter of the two possible lengths of AC. So in order to be the shorter length, the opposite angle has to be smaller. So now in order to do that, we can again use the sine rule. So we can write sine of 23.1 divided by AC equals to sine of 30 divided by 5. Therefore, if you cross multiply, it would be 5 sine 23 by 1 divided by sine 30 equals to AC. Therefore, AC turns out to be the three significant figure. It would be sine 23.1 multiplied by 5 divided by sine 30. sine 30, and that is 3.92 centimeter. This question over here is series, and this is GP series, geometric progression. Now, in geometric progression, when you have a question with consecutive terms, one term after the other, then the rule is to use the common ratio rule, which means common ratio equals to the next term divided by previous term equals to the next term divided by the previous term, and on, they're all equal. So question number A, where we have to find the value of x, and we have the first three terms, so we can write the next term by previous term, which is twice x minus 2 divided by x minus 3 equals to the next term 5x plus 1 divided by 2x minus 2, and we just do algebra solving the equation. If we cross multiply, 2x minus 2 into 2x minus 2 is 2x minus 2 whole squared, and we have 5x plus 1 into x minus 3. This would be a minus b whole square. A squared is 4x squared minus 2 to the 4, 4 to the 8x plus 4 equals to 5x into x is 5x squared minus 5 3 is 15x plus 1x minus 1 3 is 3. So this turns out to be 4x squared minus 5x squared is minus x squared minus 8x, and if this minus 15x comes to the other side, so 15 minus 8 is going to be 7, so this would be plus 7x, and we have also this x over here. If it comes to the other side, it would be 6x, so 6x, and 4 plus 3 is going to be 7. Let's multiply this with negative x squared minus 6x minus 7 equal to 0. So let's do middle term break. 7 1 is 7, so minus 7x plus x minus 7 equal to 0. Pay attention to see whether it ultimately turns out to be minus 6x. So x minus 7x is minus 6x. And if you take x common, it would be x minus 7 plus 1. This would be x minus 7 equals to 0. So it would be x minus 7, x plus 1 equals to 0. Therefore, x equals to 7 or x equals to minus 1. So that's the two values of x. But they said find the value of x. Now how do you know which value to take? They must have given some information, given that these terms are not equal. So that's the information right there. So let's check. When we put the value of x equal to 7, what happens to the terms? If I put x equal to 7 here, 7 minus 3 is 4. And here, 2 7s are 14. 14 minus 2 is 12. So they are not equal. So we can write answer x equals to 7. So you can write answer x equals to 7. Because here the terms are not equal. If you put x equal to minus 1, the terms would be equal. Question number B is find the first term. Just put the value of x over here. So when x equals to 7, the first term, known as the symbol a, is 7 minus 3 equals to 4. Done. Question number C. Find the common ratio. We know the common ratio is the next one divided by the previous one. So we can write when x equals to 7, r equals to 2 7s are 14 minus 2, 12 divided by 7 minus 3, which is 4. 12 by 4 equals to 3. The common ratio is 3. Question number D is find the sum of the first 12 terms. Now, in GP, there is a difference between the two types of series. One is divergent and another is convergent. Divergent means the positive value of r has to be more than 1. So if it was negative 3 or plus 3, doesn't matter. Ignore the sign and see what we have. That is known as the absolute value. So the absolute value of r is 3. That is divergent, more than 1. Even if it was minus 3, it would still be divergent because the absolute value of minus 3 is also 3. So the rule would be for divergent series, Sn is first term times common ratio to the power n minus 1 divided by r minus 1. That's the rule. So let's find out. Let's do it here. Number D. So S12 would be A, which is 4, into 3 to the power 12 minus 1 divided by 3 minus 1. So let's do the calculation. So let's do the innermost bracket first. So 3 to the power 12 is this, minus 1 is this, multiplied by 4 is this, divided by 2 So 1062,880, and that is the sum of the first 12 terms. This is a maximum minimum sum where you have to use calculus, differential calculus, to find the maximum value or minimum value. But it has a geometry, area, volume question in front of it before the actual calculus sum. A solid rectangular block has width x centimeter. So if you have a box like this, rectangular box, so something like this, so it has, this is the width, so suppose this is x, and this is the length 4x, and this is the height, and the height is not in terms of x, it's h. So question number A says that, and we have also another information, the total surface area is 720 centimeters squared. That means every single surface. So altogether there are six surfaces. There are six surfaces. So we have to find an expression like this. So let's use the surface area concept. So the surface area is 720 centimeters square. Now how many surfaces do we have? We have this at the top. So let me use a different color. At the top we have this, and this is also at the bottom. So we have two different rectangles over here. So the first one would be length into breadth, 4x into x. Since the bottom one is also the same, we write 2 into that instead of adding. Then we have this side over here, and this would be this side over here. Uh, so this would be again length into breadth, which is h into x. So h into x, and since there are two over here, one over here, this would be 2 into that, plus now the other two shape, they're going to be this one and the one on the other side. So this would be 2 into x, we have h, and we have 4x, and this is altogether equals to 720. So let's get going. So 2 4s are 8 x squared plus 2xh plus 4 2 is 8 xh. It's a good idea to write in alphabetical order, but since they wrote xh, I'm also writing xh equals to 720. So what we can do over here is 8x squared plus, we can add 8 plus 2, 10xh equals to 720, and we can divide by 2. So that turns out to be, therefore, of 8 divided by 2 is 4x squared plus 10 divided by 2 is 5xh equals to 720 divided by 2 is 360, and we have proved the expression. Even if you hadn't, you can take this answer and do the next one. It doesn't really matter even if you cannot do the first one. So question number B, volume. So expression for volume. So we know volume of a any type of box, cuboid, is length into breadth into height. So the expression for volume would be, the length is 4x, the breadth is x, and the height is h. So it turns out to be 4x squared h, but here there is no h. So we have to rearrange this and find an expression for h. So what we can do here is, let me write it out here. We can write, we know 4x squared plus 5xh equals to 360. So we know 5xh is 360 minus 4x squared. Therefore, x equals to 360 minus 4x squared divided by 5x. So we can get that expression. So we can write equals to, so right, let me write it over here. So volume equals to 4x squared 360 minus 4x squared divided by 5x. If we simplify, this x and this x cancels over here, we can write 4 by 5, and we can take the x outside the bracket, and we can write 360 minus 4x squared. So this is the expression. This is also done. Now question number C. Question number C, we have to find the value of x for which dv by dx equals to 0. This is the rule. At the turning point, the derivative is 0. So let's write down v simpler terms. So 4 by 5x into 360 is going to be, let me see this. So 4 into 360 divided by 5, and that is going to be 288x minus, we have 4 fours are 16 by 5x cubed. Therefore, let's do the derivative. dv by dx is going to be 288 minus, this is going to be 16 by 5 is the constant, and derivative of x cubed is 3x squared. So now what happens when at the turning point gradient is 0? Let's move on to this side. So we can write at dv by dx equals to 0, 288 minus 16 threes are 48, 48 by 5 x squared equals to 0. That means 288 equals to 48 by 5 x squared. That means 288 into 5 divided by 48 equals to x squared. That turns out to be, so 288 into 5 divided by 48. That is 30. So therefore, x squared equals to 30. X equals to plus minus square root of 30, which is plus minus square root of 30 is going to be plus minus to 3 significant figure 5.48. 5.48. Now they ask for the value of x. Now since this is a some sort of a practical question where we have a box, since x cannot be negative, in that aspect we can just write the value of x to be positive, 5.48. That's good enough over here. Now the next question, question number D, is show that this value is maximum. If you want to show that whether some value is maximum or minimum, you have to do the second derivative. So that means after dv by dx, you have to do d2v by dx squared, known as the second derivative. And if the value of the second derivative is positive, then it is minimum. If the value of the second derivative is negative, then it is maximum. Sort of goes the reverse way. So we have to show whether it is maximum or not. So let's start. This is question number D. So second derivative. So we know that dv by dx is equals to 288 minus 48 by 5x squared. So the second derivative is going to be, so therefore d2v by dx squared equals to, if you differentiate 288, it becomes 0. So minus 48 by 5, and the derivative of x squared is twice x. Obviously this is going to be negative. So at x equals to, we have the value of x as 5.48. d2v by dx squared is going to be minus 48 by 5 into 2 into 5.48, which is going to be negative because we have a negative in front of here. So we don't have to calculate this. We just need to know whether it's positive or negative. So since d2v by dx squared is less than 0, it is maximum. So that's all they ask for, whether it's maximum or not. And the next question, find the maximum volume. So we have to put down the value of x in the expression of v and find the maximum volume. So let's do the final one. So question number E, at x equals to 5.48, v equals to, expression for v is right over here. So 288x minus 16 by 5, 5.48 cubed, and this turns out to be, so the calculation turns out to be 1051.6. so 1051.6. In the question, is there any significant figure? To the nearest centimeter cubed. So the nearest centimeter cubed would be 1052 cm cubed.